It's exam tips time for June 24. Loads of you have been messaging me waiting for this, right? So I know you're hungry for this information, even though you know you need to revise the full syllabus to be fully prepared, right? But isn't it useful to have someone who knows this exam inside and out, giving you a few helpful hints about where to focus? By the way, I'm having a bad hair day and I'm from Yorkshire, so flat cap today. Right, my first tip. Now, the examiner has been testing a new style of question in question 1 with the ROMs. Instead of saying evaluate the ROMs, what they do instead is say inventory has been identified as a ROM. Explain why. And your approach is exactly the same as a normal ROMs question. You say how material it is. You talk about any incorrect accounting that's gone on. You use wider facts from the scenario to add depth, like talking about there might be some reason for management bias over some judgmental areas of inventory. And you say specifically which balances might be misstated. It's the same approach, but the examiner, well, they can throw you if they ask you a question in a slightly different way. Don't let it throw you. And if you want to see one that is like this, then go and have a look on the ACCA's practice platform at the March-June 23 exam. Question 1 was like that. Now, I am not really going out on much of a limb here, right? I had a meeting with the examining team in April, and at that meeting, they talked a lot about financial reporting. They talked a lot about students needing to have done SBR, really, before doing AAA, ideally having passed it. And in recent exam sittings, we have seen tons of technical financial reporting in all 3 questions of the exam. So I'm expecting to see a lot of it this time. This is not me taking a risk. This is me saying to you, do the right things. Right? So you need to go back over your SBR notes. You don't need to memorize them in detail, but you just need to know a few key facts about most of the financial reporting standards. But if you're playing the game, then these are the areas I would suggest you particularly read up on. They're things the examiner likes and that are more likely to be tested, in my opinion. Next up. Again, I'm not going out on a limb here because the examiner has done this a lot recently. Instead of saying, tell me audit procedures over the provision, right, they tell you to focus on a specific assertion. So it would be, let's say it's inventory, it would be over the valuation of inventory. So my tip for you is make sure you're focusing on the specific requirement. When you're writing your answer, for each procedure, you should be writing a statement at the end where you say how it gives you evidence over that particular assertion. Now, quality management, the examining team love it, right? Comes up every single sitting. But in March, we didn't get a standard quality management question. It was more of a matters to consider and audit evidence you'd expect to be on the file question that came up. And that actually was a knowledge question on quality management. Anyway, what I'm expecting this time is for the examining team to revert back to what they have been doing more regularly. And that is to give you an extract from an audit file that has been done really badly. It's been planned poorly. It's got the wrong people working on it. It's too time pressured. There's all sorts of ethical issues. There's nowhere near enough evidence for all of the balances that are in the requirement. So you'll be asked to critically evaluate the planning and performance of the audit, and your job is to go through the scenario and explain why everything they've done is rubbish. Right, obviously don't say it's rubbish. You have to explain why it's insufficient audit evidence or why this ethics issue would have caused a wider issue for the completion of the audit. Okay, so I expect to see that coming up. There's tons of past exam questions on this. If you look at any of the recent past exam papers that have been released by ACCA, you will find questions on this. Next up, well, we haven't seen one of these for a while, and the examiner, well, they always say that students answer them awfully, right? So I'm expecting to see them come up, right? Critically evaluating an extract from an audit report. So you're given part of the audit report and you're asked what's wrong with it. My tip for you is it will be everything's wrong with it. So your job is to explain why that's a problem. People are normally good at picking out, this is a problem, but they're not very good at explaining why that is an issue, right? So you've got to go on and say the why. That's my big tip for you. And we haven't seen key audit matters or other information paragraphs tested for a little while. Examiner likes them both, particularly other information paragraphs this time for me, because I'm expecting to see sustainability coming up in the exam. And sustainability reporting leads to another information paragraph. Then we haven't had one of these for a little while either. A classic acceptance question where you're asked matters to consider around whether we should take on this particular piece of work. And there'll be reasons in the scenario to take it on and reasons not to. And it's probably discuss, that'll probably be the verb, which means you'll get a mark for concluding. Your conclusion needs to be clear though. Yes, do the work, or no, don't do it. More likely, yes, do it. But because the question will then go on and say, now we've accepted the work, can you do the work? But when you're doing that conclusion, to make sure you get the full mark for it, you can't just say, yes, do the work. You have to justify it. And that means using something, maybe a couple of things from your analysis to explain why it is really worth taking on this piece of work. Now, fraud and forecasting are both two topics the examiner has combined very regularly in the past with an acceptance question. Should we do this piece of work? And then, now we've accepted it, here's some information about the fraud. Or here is some information about the cash flow forecast or the profit forecast. Can you critically evaluate it? Or can you suggest audit procedures to verify the size of the fraud or something like that? Well, so that's it for my exam tips for this sitting. I hope you found them useful. Please get in touch with me if you need support for AAA, either for this sitting or perhaps if things don't go well for you. I'm here for you in the September exam sitting. Best of luck for the exam, everyone.